Hi, Joe here from Shutter Speak Photography. Always nice to see your smiling face here on YouTube. So, 4th of July is right around the corner, and if you're in the United States, you know what that means. 4th of July means fireworks, and of course, fireworks means questions like, how do I get great firework photos? I have a formula that works consistently every time. I'm going to share that formula with you. This is going to work across any camera brand. It's not going to matter if you have a Nikon or you don't have a Nikon. These settings will work. After I share these settings with you, I'm going to show you some settings in the Nikon Z. These settings apply to pretty much any Nikon camera, and there should be the equivalent settings across any brand. And I'm going to show you an advanced tip on your Nikon camera at the end. All right, so let's get started and let's take a look at those settings. Okay, so the first step of the formula to getting great fireworks photos every time is your camera has to be mounted on a steady, solid tripod. It's important, no way around this. You have to use a tripod. Okay, next, you're going to dial your camera into manual mode, M, okay, manual mode. Now I'm going to give you the settings that you're going to put your camera into for manual mode. You don't really have to change these, but there is one setting that you can change a little bit if you want to. First, aperture, okay? You're going to spin this front command dial right here, and you're going to set your aperture to f11, f11. Next, you're going to spin the back command dial until you get down to 3 with the little inch symbol next to it, 3 seconds, okay? Not just a regular 3, okay? It's got to be 3 with the inch symbol. The inch symbol stands for seconds. Next, you're going to set the ISO to 200, and you're going to make sure that auto ISO is off. That's very important, okay? Once you have those settings dialed in, you're good to go. All you got to do is point your camera up at the fireworks and take pictures. Now, I did say that there is one setting that you can change. Now, that's going to be your shutter speed. So it's set at 3 seconds. 3 seconds are going to give you nice trails. But if you want a little bit longer trail, you can bump that to 4 seconds, okay, using your command dial. That's the one in the back. You might even be able to push it to 5 seconds, but then you're going to start to maybe see a little bit of overexposure. So play around with this. Start at 3 seconds. See how the trails are. If you want them a little longer, see if you can push it to 4 seconds. 5 seconds, maybe you might be able to get away with it. You might not. Okay, but 3 seconds is going to be a great starting point. 4 seconds works great as well. Play around with them. Switch back and forth between the two. See what you like better. Towards the end, when there's the big grand finale and there's lots of bursts going off at the same time, you might want to dial it back to 3 seconds just so that you don't get overexposures with so many bursts going off at once. There's going to be so much light up in that sky that you might get overexposures at some points of the fireworks. But play around with this and have fun with it. Next, I'm going to go into the menu settings, and I'm going to show you a couple of things on your Nikon Z menu. Should apply to any Nikon camera, and you should have the equivalent on your own brand, and one advanced tip for you at the end. Okay, so I'm here in the menu of my Nikon Z camera. This is a Z6 II, but it should be pretty much the same regardless what Nikon camera you're using, and everything's going to be done in the photo shooting menu. That's the camera, except our advanced tip, which I'll show you later. So first, I'm going to scroll on down till we get to image quality. I recommend RAW, but if you don't have an editor like Lightroom or Neo or On1 or something that can edit RAW files, JPEG will be okay. RAW is just going to give you more control over your edit, which is going to be able to, deepen the blacks and make the colors pop later on a little bit better. So my choice would be RAW, and again, that's a personal choice for you. Scroll on down to ISO sensitivity settings, and then go into here and go up to ISO sensitivity and set this to 200. Next, go down to auto ISO sensitivity control and set that to off. And then scroll on down in your photo shooting menu until you get to metering. Matrix metering is a great choice for fireworks. So select that. And then scroll on down to focus mode. Choose autofocus continuous. That's going to work just fine for you. And then autofocus area mode. You're going to want to select this autofocus area AF mode. Okay, and that should pretty much set you up really great for your fireworks. Now, vibration reduction is one that this is kind of an optional. So you could either leave this on or off. The old rule of thumb used to be on a tripod, you could leave it off, and it might even be better on a tripod to have vibration reduction off. But with the Nikon Zs, Nikon's a little wishy-washy with the manual when it comes to this, and it basically kind of says, more or less, leave it on unless it's not good for you to leave it on, and then in that case, shut it off, which really doesn't mean much. So I'm not sure what the correct answer here is, but let me go back. If you want it to be safe, you could shut this off to get the sharpest possible image on your tripod mounted camera, okay? Now I did promise you an advanced tip. So if you're on a Nikon Z, most Nikon cameras have this, and now as of firmware 4.0, if you're on a Z9, you have this as well. Go to the custom settings menu, that's your pencil, go down to D, shooting and display, and then in this camera it's D4, exposure delay mode. Your number may vary depending on which camera you're using. But for the Nikon Z6 II, Z7 II, Z6, Z7 should be D4 exposure delay mode. And you can set this if you'd like to 0.2 or 0.05 second. Now, all this is going to do is introduce a half-second delay when you press the shutter release button on your camera. So since it's mounted on a tripod, pressing that button will wait a half second before it starts to take the picture. That eliminates any possible shake when you press the shutter button so that you have the sharpest possible photo. Okay, and if you were using a remote, you don't need to do this, but this just is kind of, like I said, taking out the possibility of any shake that your hand may introduce when you press the shutter release button. And speaking of pressing the shutter release button, when's a great time to press that shutter release button? Well, usually when you hear the boom, that's the motor firing off the firework into the sky. As soon as you hear that boom, that's a great time to hit that shutter button. It'll give that half-second delay. By the time the firework reaches its height where it's going to explode, that should be about a half second or so. And from that point, you should get the big blooming stream coming down from the sky. And that's kind of a little advanced tip for you there. Okay, so when you hear the boom, press the button. That's the firework being launched. About a half second or so, you'll see it explode in the sky, and you'll get that beautiful trail of colors. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, consider subscribing. Hit that like button, ring the bell so you get notified of future updates. And by all means, let me know in the comments if you tried this formula out and if it was successful for you. And if you got great fireworks photos, I'd love to hear from you. So, hey, as always, thanks for watching, YouTube. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.